Good day, my fellow Nigerians. I want to give us 5 reasons why I think that Nigeria can be great again, or 5 reasons why I think we will be great if we put in the effort. Elias Stanley is my name. I'm from Beat Magazine. It's an online platform, it's a blog. Now, there's something I want to say before I dive in there. There's a saying that destiny can never be delayed or denied except by the carrier of the destiny. What does this mean? It means that no external force can thwart where your vision, your goal, or where you are going, except you. You are the only person who can thwart your vision, your goals, your dreams by your laxity. Let's take for instance, you're a young man, but you find pleasure sleeping with everything on skirts. My dear, you're not going anywhere. Even if you're the most talented man on the planet, you're not going anywhere. Because you're wasting your energy. Maybe drinking beer, chasing women, flexing, catching cruise, enjoying yourself. And to you, that's life. You're a young girl, you're busy sleeping with people's husbands, collecting money from them. You see a young man with a bright future who has goals and dreams, and you say, this one is poverty-stricken, he doesn't have a dime, and he can't take care of me, he can't pay my bills. So you leave him and you go for the old man that sees you like a pet. And after he has used you and dumped you, you now say all men are the same. Carry me there, go, Jehovah, carry me there, go, my husband's house. Nobody will carry you to anywhere. You have wasted your dreams. You've wasted your life by your own laxity. As it is in our personal life, that's how it is in our national life. If we don't take the bull by the horn, if we don't decide to build our nation, nobody will build a nation for us. We alone are the carriers of our destiny. And it is our responsibility to build Nigeria. Americans will not come to build us. Europeans will not come to build us. Nor will the Asians come to build us. Martians will not come to build. It's even us that want to run to Mars. Elon Musk says building, Mars 1 and all that. We want to run to Mars, yes. So Mars people, if there are people in Mars or there are whatever, they can't come here to do anything. It is we, Nigeria is our responsibility. And the earlier we stand up, the earlier we put an end to our laxity, the better for us. Because the simple truth is, why Nigeria is the way it is because we are nonchalant, we're careless, we don't think about Nigeria. Everybody's thinking, me, myself, and I, how do I milk from the national cake? Nobody sits down to look at and say, this is a great country that we can build if we put in the effort to make it better, to right the wrongs. Nobody thinks so. And it's one of the greatest malady of our world today, because if a nation like America is what they are today simply because of the philosophies or policies they have in place, or they had in place as at 300-400 years ago, the philosophy of think not of what America will do for you, but think of what you can do to make America better. This is a philosophy they had as far back as 1600. And today we're in 2022. But we've not arrived at that stage of thinking. We have not. There's no coherent thought. There's no national conscience. There's no national vision. There's no national goal. There's nothing we're striving for. There's nothing we're living for other than to enrich our pockets. Now, I'm not talking about government stealing money and all that. Both in our private lives and in the public life, it's all the same. Because the government is a reflection of the people. So if we have to build Nigeria, if Nigeria must be great, it is our responsibility to stand up and build ourselves. Because The greatness of Nigeria will not be achieved by one group pointing at the other and say, you people should repair yourself, or like we're fixing blame. Everybody is fixing blame, calling everybody. But nobody is ready to look within to find out where he or she is contributing to the problems. Because there's a saying in leadership that if you're not part of the problem, then you're part of the solution. Or if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. In Nigeria today, a lot of us blame the government. We say, the government is responsible for all the crises we're having. Yes, we have a leadership problem. I wouldn't say the government, I say leadership, because leadership is very different from the government. What do I mean? Every human being, everywhere you are, you're a leader. And whether you're a constituted leader or not, or a constituted leader as in the government or not, there are people who are looking at you. There are people that are following your attitude. There are people that are looking to learn from you. And there are people that are going to behave exactly the way you behave. It's just like in your home. Your primary caregivers are your role models. And most times you imbibe their personal philosophies and policies and ways of life, even without knowing it. So later in life, you exhibit exactly this kind of attitude. So also it is with everybody. You're a leader everywhere. And as a leader, you have a role to play. So, the first thing we need to do is to build ourselves and understand that we are the Nigeria. It's not about the government. If we straighten up the government, we straighten up. But if we don't straighten up, the government cannot straighten up. Because the people it is the people, or the government is chosen from amongst the people. The government are not aliens. So I think we can be great. I believe in Nigeria. I believe we can build a great nation because we have the potential. If I go a little bit, let me say scientific. Now, in Africa, we're at the trigger. And Nigeria, everything that happens in Africa, Nigeria is involved. That's why they say we're the giants. Even though I don't say how we're the giant, because at the end of the day, we're just a giant of population, which is a product of uncontrolled sexual drive or something, or uncontrolled life. Because you see somebody who cannot even afford to feed, he's having like more children that he can take care of. So overpopulation is a problem for us. And by leadership structure, there's a number of people that you can have in a place. The moment you have more than that number, you can't lead those people. It's just like in a class. You're having 200 people in a class and you are one teacher. How can you teach 200 people? You can't. No matter how intelligent, no matter how good you are, you cannot teach 200 students. Maybe at the primary level or the nursery level, even at the university level, 200 is too much. Okay? So first, for us to realize our greatness, the first thing I have to tell us is this. One, Nigeria is not a poor nation. You know, in the past, we've had this conception that Nigeria is poor. We're poor. Who told you that? Are you checking the facts, or are you listening to what the media is telling you? Nigeria is poor, and there are multinationals here remitting billions of dollars to their home country. Nigeria is poor and people are making billions. People are building houses. Have you ever asked yourself who buys all the cars that come into Nigeria? Because if a statistics is taken, I don't think less than 500,000 cars is bought every month in Nigeria. Who buys those cars? Who builds all the houses we're seeing? Who builds those houses that you see and you think this is heaven on earth? This is paradise. Who builds them? Who does all the things we see with money? Those wines you see that is 500,000, 400,000, all Glenfiddich and all the drinks that you see that are hundreds of thousands, who buys them? Who buys all the phones that come into Nigeria? So we're not poor. but rather I think we have people with poverty mentality, because poverty has nothing to do with the amount you have in your bank account. Poverty is a way of life, is a mental attitude, is your disposition towards life. You can have all the money in the bank and you are a miser. You behave as if you don't have. Sometimes even to feed, to eat properly is a problem for you. I remember one story, a friend, somebody I used to massage. He told me once, he said one of their colleagues who had, I'm not going to call the nature of business he does, but he had that business. Sometimes to even buy good food and eat is a problem for him. So everybody looks at him like this guy, he doesn't have money, Sometime in his 50s, the guy died. And when they went to his bank account, lo and behold, they saw 8-point-something million. Everybody was surprised. So you have this kind of money. And sometimes it is your fellow business people that pay for your food. You tell them you don't have money. So, we're a rich nation. Okay? We have money. Bad as a bad. Even in Bacha, you are saying I pass my neighbor. Generator. How come? So, we're a rich nation. All we need to do is to look into ourselves. Even before I got into higher institution, I used to hear a lot of motivational speakers say that gold flows in the streets of Nigeria. These are motivational speakers in Asia, Europe, and America. These guys have not been here, or some of them have been here. But some of them understand what it means. What if it's money you want? There are thousands of opportunities for you to make money. So we're wealthy. If I use a simple illustration, during the COVID, everybody ran into their houses, everybody ran into our shell. We ran into our shell. But there were people who hammered within that period because they saw the opportunity and they keyed into it. Like people started producing nose masks. I know of some tailors who were not making ends meet. They couldn't survive by their profession. But during the COVID, they made millions because they saw an opportunity to sew nose masks and they were sewing only nose masks. So while people were losing their job, people were making millions. So the success we desire is not a product of the economy, because the economy is built by we humans. And when we learn to maximize the economy, we will make the economy grow. Success is not dependent on external forces. It's dependent on internal forces. And if you're successful, irrespective of the economy you are, you will make success. After all, when several statistics have been done in the Western world, and it's been discovered that over 90% of millionaires and billionaires are first generation millionaires. That means they were born into poverty. If I use a simple illustration, John D. Rockefeller, who's one of the world's richest men, he was born into a poverty background and all that. Countless number of them. So the fact that you're born into poverty or you are living in poverty doesn't mean you cannot be successful. So it is with a nation. So it is with us. There is gold within us that we have to learn to tap. We have to learn how to blossom that thing, and we can make a great nation, because we're a great nation. I believe we're a great nation. Yes, we are. We're a great nation. We are a great nation. I believe in Nigeria. Nigeria is a great nation if we take our destiny in our hands and do what we're supposed to do. If we do it right, we'll get it. Now, point number 2 is this idea that the government will be solely responsible for our growth. Now, I want to correct this impression. Like Jack Ma said, it is the success of the people that spills into the nation. Now, who are the government, or who is the government? I think somewhere in the American Declaration of Independence, it says, I think we hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. And to secure this right, governments are instituted, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Now, I want to talk about consent. Consent are those things that we accept, we tolerate, we allow. But those things we don't allow don't work. Now, let's talk about our natural life, our way of life. Do we show morality? Do we show value? Do we exhibit the qualities that are meant to build us as humans, or do we behave anyhow? Do we learn anything from our lives? Or learning is a crime? Because I know in the street most times they say, are you a learner? What that implies is that you're not supposed to learn anything. You're supposed to know everything. But that's counterproductive. Because you cannot know everything. You have to learn. In life, you must be a perpetual learner. Otherwise, you cannot be successful. Because if you look at yourself, everything you do today, you learned it. Is it to talk? You were taught. Is it to walk? To read? To interact with people? You have to learn it. Because the irony of life is that sometimes in our first 1 to 3rd year, we're taught to talk. Then in the next 3 or 4 years, we're told to shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Because all we keep talking is absolute rubbish. So you have to learn to interact. Now, we have to learn about ourselves, about our nation, for us to become whom we want to become. Now, when we learn about ourselves, we begin to develop our moral standard. Then we begin to add value to the nation. Now, when we add value to the nation, automatically our consent tilts. Now, the question of the government and the people. Let's look at one consent. I remember, yes, some time ago, the government said Ruga. And everybody said no. So what happened? Did Ruga hold? No. Because everybody unanimously said no. That means that there are certain things the government will come out to do. And when the people say no, the government will not do it. Now, I'm not saying that we should go and start protesting and all that. I'm trying to give us an idea of how our consent influences the government. And who is the government? It's you and I. Because the government are chosen from us. But our society is in such a form that our DNA is written, I think DNA is AD something something, I don't know. But our DNA is written in workshop. So we don't think of adding value to what we're doing. Rather, we think of extracting value from what we're doing. So everywhere you go, you see everybody thinking of me, myself, and I. We want to rob Peter to feed Paul, to feed ourselves. We sell our birthright for porridge yam, immediate profit, immediate benefits. So you see anywhere somebody is, as long as money is passing through there, piam, he takes it. Everything goes to him. And because nobody is accountable to anybody. Nobody can say anything. So if we have to grow, we have to understand that we are the government. And the things we tolerate by virtue of who we are. By virtue of who we are. If every Nigerian begins to show moral values and begins to develop himself, automatically will become a great nation. You know, there's this saying I always say that the government of a people is a reflection of the cherished or noble ideals of the people. This means that a good people cannot have a bad government. If a good people have a bad government, it will be very easy for such people to unseat that government and install a new one. So also it is, a bad people cannot have a good government. Because if a bad people have a good government, it will be very easy for them to unseat that government and install a bad man that will allow things to work. If you want to test run it, go to any organization you belong to, maybe in school, in your workplace, in your religious home, or around your house where you live, in your street, in your social gathering. Check maybe the committees or something, the building committee or one thing that is there. Understand how the money moves and try to correct it. Start from your worship place, where you worship. If you're a Christian, do. If you're a Muslim, do. If you're a pagan, do. If you're a tree worshiper in your village, try it. Try to stop that choppings and let's see what will happen to you. That is because when a people are at a particular level, the leadership cannot be too far from them. The leadership must par with them. Otherwise, remove you now, put somebody that will make the things work. Everybody chop and feel good. Why this guy, they can't block our choppings? Nigeria is a place where when you want to correct a system, people will tell you, oh boy, stop, I'm no be now, I chop my own first, go. So the people out there waiting to get into government to loot are more than the ones that are looting. And that's the nation you want to tell me to grow, or that the government will change. The government that knows that you are worse than them. How? So the government is a reflection of the people. And we have this idea that it will flow from up to down. That is, the government will sit down, change itself and say, okay, let's behave like this because the people... My dear, it will not work. This is a nation where senators are earning 30 how many million. A nation that cannot pay minimum wage of 100,000. So you think the senators will come one day and hold a meeting and say, this money will they chop too much. Okay, let's reduce it. We'll be chopping like 3 million as salary. Or okay, let's increase minimum wage to 200,000. Why do you think that will work? It can't work. But let's assume we structure ourselves and make ourselves better people. Then we have reasonable people going up there that can change things, that can implement positive growth. Not what we're seeing. Okay, so the government is a reflection of the people. And whatever government any system has, be it a company, be it an organization, be it a group, is a reflection of those people. So the people ought not to complain. Don't complain, because it is you who installed that government by your attitude, not by politics. Because the politics is just the dress rehearsal or the icing or I don't know how to put it now. But the things you do just to fulfill all righteousness. It's like when a man and a woman decides to get married, they go to church and do wedding. The wedding is that's not what makes them husband and wife. They have already agreed. And in some cases, the man has even shot one thing into the woman's stomach. So they have already been living as man and wife. He's a sharpshooter, so he can do anything. Okay, so in life, greatness starts within and flows to the without. So in this case, the government of a people is a reflection of the people. And if we must transform Nigeria, it starts with every individual. It is not a question of where one institution is calling the other institution, these people, when I don't do like this, when I do like this, or people should do like this, it's not going to work. No institution can correct another institution. None. Every institution has to correct itself from itself. This is why I come to the third point. We have to build a working system. There's no working system in Nigeria. There is no working system. This is why I think a lot of us have failed in Africa. We don't understand what it means to build a system. I think maybe because our priority is how to enrich ourselves, or because we lack the knowledge. But sometimes I don't think it's lack of knowledge. Because I know in the past, it was difficult to access books and all that. But today you have the internet. Just in your phone, you can have 1 million books. You can register with several libraries. And you can read any book you want. So information is at your disposal. There are social medias where you could gain knowledge, watch videos. For every training, every video, everything, any seminar that is paid for in this life, you will see a free version of it in one of the social medias. All you have to do is to do your deep research and you will see what you want. So it's not about the lack of knowledge. It's about the fact that we're not ready to do it yet. So we need to know, we need to learn how to make a system work. Because from my own experience, or from my own observation, I've seen several cases where even where the government has tried to bring in some good things, but implementation, yeah. One man will just, behave anyhow. And that's how everything goes wrong. The management. It's not about the willpower. Sometimes you see politicians, they're talking willpower, there's no political will. The willpower is there at times, yes. They bring out some good things. But the implementation, who implements it? How does he implement it? Where people behave anyhow. No efficiency, no professionalism. You go to every system. Why am I talking too much? You go to every system. There is no system that is working. I think part of the reason is because we have not developed honesty as a people. What do I mean? You take your car to the mechanic and sometimes they're losing parts and fix and part for you. So you go back home and your car starts giving you problem. I even had a little bicycle. But at the point I stopped riding it for over 2 years because I take it to a repair and sometimes after repair you say, okay, you got to manage this. And I start wondering, how can I bring something to you and I'm going back home? You did not fix this 100% and you have now impregnated another problem in my bicycle, little bicycle. Come to talk of cars. I know of certain things that some mechanics do when you have these brand new cars that come with certain kinds of parts that you can remove without the person knowing. Like I know the plug. There are some cars that come with a set of plugs, 6 plugs. Those 6 plugs, the original plugs, is about 100 and something thousand. You could take your car to the mechanic, he loses it, puts a plug for you. Isn't that when you come, you start your car, you drive home. 3 months later, your plug gives you problem. You go and change it, even without knowing that you have been cheated. You call a craftsman, you say, okay, fix this thing, a plumber, whatever. Even in the so-called professional crafts or professional things, you call people and say, do this thing, and they do it shabbily. Most times you pay somebody money, say, do this thing, and the person does it shabbily. In most cases, it happens once you have paid them maybe 70-80%, or you have paid all out of your own goodwill. They'll just treat you anyhow. Why? Because the man is thinking of himself. You use your own maybe 2 million, 3 million, you buy a car and give to somebody and say, drive this car, please. I know what means spoil. Every day give me 3,000 or 4,000. This person that you have given this car can be making 15, 20,000 or even 12,000. Actually, he's making more money than you, the investor. But that your little 3,000 or 2,500 will not come to you. Every day he would, Oga, police catch me. This engines spoil. There is not one day that something will not spoil in that car. So you just invested and you dashed him. And he doesn't even consider the fact that you are an investor. It's all about him now in chopping down land. So he'll eat. I've seen several cases of where people had to forcefully go and take their car and sell it. Why? Everyday story. Sometimes you now have to dip hands from your own pockets and go and fix a car you gave to somebody that is making money for him. That's the kind of society we're living in. And that's the society we're expecting that it will grow. How? It can't grow. We have to change this attitude. We have to grow. We have to develop our moral strength. Not looting every system dry. Not looting every system. It's not just in the... Okay, let me go to the controversial area. The medical field, who claim to be all and all, holier than thou. How are they behaving? Any little thing, strike. Any little thing, strike. Any little thing, strike. But we all know that the medical system is zero. I'm not talking about the facility. I'm talking about how even the doctors behave to you. As a kid, I had the privilege of going to Shell Hospital, so the doctors talk to you. Sometimes, as the doctor is diagnosing, you don't even know he's diagnosing. He just touch you here, he'll leave his desk, come to you, and he's talking to you. Okay, he'll touch you here. And at the end of the day, he just makes his recommendation. And sometimes you'll be wondering, has he finished? It's okay. To you, you're seeing him like, this is my friend. But I was surprised. After my dad's retirement, I went to some hospitals and what I saw. It got to a point that I told myself I will never go to the hospital again. In fact, right now, the only thing that can take me to a hospital is to go and run tests. But I'm going to meet one doctor. It won't work. Because in the first place, I know that what a patient needs from a doctor is care, compassion. But most of them talk to you like something is wrong with you, and they are the one that everything is right with them. They are so arrogant. They sit down there and speak big grammar. You are talking to somebody who maybe is not lettered, and you think he's comfortable in your presence. You don't even have compassion the way you talk to him about his health. Like you go to some hospitals, even the nurses are calling, you Mr. Malaria, pregnant woman. We've seen cases of where doctors will walk past a dying patient. What concerns him? You don't run card? Or have you paid this bill? So why should he even talk to you? And we're saying the government is bad. But you're a doctor that is meant to save lives. You're watching lives die. You see it in the movies. If you go to developed countries, when the police comes to a crime scene, even the criminal, when he's injured, they'll first of all give him first aid before they handcuff him and take him to the station. But here, the man that was trained to give life is allowing life die. Thank God the social media has come up and shown us a little thing. So some of us think these things are new. It's not new. It has been happening. It has been happening. And these people are so-called intellectuals. I'm not talking of illiterate. I'm talking of people whose brain is full of book or whom are trained to heal people. You go to so many hospitals and the people complain, and some people say, I'll never go to this hospital again. I'll never go to this. Why? You go to some hospitals that are meant to give you health, but there is the headquarters of malaria, because all the mosquito in the world, they have a village there, a satellite town inside a hospital. And somebody who calls himself a doctor will wear white, wear coat and come there and do like this. You're a doctor. Tomorrow you tell me the government has not done this, has not done that. What have you done in your field? Simple manners you don't have. I'm a masseur, and what I do is health massage, reflexology, and acupressure. Most times I go to meet people and they have very serious issues. But the first thing I do is I calm them down. I just make it look like what they have is nothing. Because I know by putting them in that frame of mind, in that state of mind, their mind begins to heal their body. Because your mind is your greatest healer. But not when someone comes to you with a small Apollo, you say it's conjunctivitis. That name is like an invocation from Harry Potter. The name alone can make somebody not want to come to hospital again. Is the system working? No. Next day, if you go abroad, doctor is like this, they give doctor this, they give doctor that. Those doctors abroad, are they behaving like the ones here? I'm not talking of facility, I'm talking of attitude. Are you behaving like the doctors abroad? The nurses, they tell you, in abroad, the one nurse will attend to 5 people, here we attend to 50 people. It's only difficult for you because you have made it to be difficult. I have taken care of sick people. It's challenging, yes. Every profession is challenging. But the truth is, if you feel you cannot handle the challenges in that profession, quit. Go and do something else because that's not your field. You're not meant for it. Allow people who have the calling to come there and care for people and make their lives better. If we leave the doctors, we'll go to ASU, where we have the echelon of learners. Look at how they are behaving. The last issue, okay, though this is a bit controversial, but I like you to see things from the perspective I'm coming. I'm not saying the government has tried or the government has improved or done anything good. But I want to ask a simple question. Before you start striking or before you start jumping to take some kind of actions, do you also realize that when it comes to the development of Nigeria, ASU is even more disastrous than the government? Because ASU produces illiterate graduates. Do you know what it means to produce a graduate that cannot write application letter? But you ask him salary, he will call 6 digits. This is somebody who cannot write a simple application letter. There was a time I was attached to a HRO firm. And that was when I worked for Nigeria, because if you see the application letters that graduates write, you graduate people who don't even know their left from their right. They can't even define their course of study. They don't know what they're doing. They can't conceptualize their course of study. They can't tell you how their course of study can solve the problems of society. All they're interested is, give me big salary. You employ these people, they are unproductive. They don't know what the company is going through. They don't know when the company is going through stress, profit, loss, or any. All they're interested is increase my salary. Their work description, they have not even done 10% of it. It's ASU. Don't tell me it's because government has not provided facility. I schooled in a university. I schooled in a suit, chemical engineer, and I had a lecturer, Dr. Onwu, till tomorrow. I praise that man. He's a lecturer he made me to understand that as a student, you must be up and doing. You must read wide. Up till today, Dr. Onwu is one person. I have 3 of his textbooks. After over 15 years, 17 years, I have his textbooks in my house. Because Dr. Onwu goes to the extra mile of doing research. So his books are well equipped. These are books that you want to do a research on those topics that he's teaching. You go and pick one of his books and read. I have his books. Dr. Onwu made me to understand so many things about life that today I have my own library, which I am proud of. Dr. Onwu taught us a lot. He's a lecturer. It's just that he schooled in London, he schooled in Sheffield and all that. So, you are a lecturer. All you know is to go and strike. Say, government no do this, government no do that. They give you that money now. Story no go enter them. We know stories will enter it now. What are we saying? Story go enter them. People go chop money. Stop using students to do. In fact, even the whole issue that brought about all this problem, is it the only government that is to blame? Did that not cause the whole problem that made government to bring their magicians that came and spoiled the whole system? I know nobody goes, we don't really dig into these things because we have seen a scapegoat you can easily call. But if you go down to the root of these problems, you find out that the ASUU themselves, they have a serious problem that made government bring one system there, I don't know what they call it, NIPS or whatever, that was supposed to normalize what these lecturers are doing. But at the end of the day, that one doing own magic spoiled the whole system. That the guys went haywire as well. Saying a lie, okay, you must. So you are wrong. You did a wrong thing and the other man did the wrong thing. Now you come back and you say, you must do an agreement you reached the other time. When we know that even at a state level, we've not attained continuity. So you hold somebody for something, you agree with another person and say he must pay because you hold him for blockers. Because we are all used to extracting money. We believe the government is a national cake. Then the students themselves, how do you beat them? Yes, the government is to blame. Yes, the ASUU, we have seen that they also have a, but the students that I'm talking about, how did this ASUU strike? How many students actually read one book? One. Or how many learned one skill? How many sat down to say, oh, this thing that this course I've been going through is difficult for me. Let me use this strike and brush myself up. How many? Or they all travel to places where they will gallivant and do all the BS they can do. So the students themselves are even worse than the lecturers. When I say the lecturers, not all of them, yes. There are a few of them that are good, that will even invest in the academic system. They will use their money to do things to make their departments grow. I've seen such kind of lecturers. I know a few of them. And I know a few that do not collect sorting. But they are just a minute percentage of most students. Why hasn't ASUU said, okay, if we catch you, they are sorting, you will see their license, you no go teach again? Why haven't they done that? Why haven't they looked into the affair that, or into the matter that most lecturers, their textbook is substandard? Instead, is to tell me that senator is earning 30 million, so me, I must chop 5 million. I'm not saying that the senator is right for earning even 25 million, no. But my point is, you don't compare yourself with those people. Those people are of a different class. They are of a different thing. And there are ways to correct the system. It's not by comparing yourself. Because I know so many lecturers abroad, how they make money is you write a book and you deliver seminars on that book or on your books. Imagine you as a lecturer writing a book in Nigeria and they are calling you in Japan to come and give a seminar for it. Or they are calling you in America. Is it federal government that will fix your price? It's you that fixes the price. That's in addition to how many million copies your book sells and the royalty associated with it. So there are other ways for lecturers to make money. Or I put it as a challenge. You, if you're listening to this now and you want to do a research, maybe as a student or as somebody who's out of school, you want to do any research, what percentage of Nigerian lecturers can you go to the market, buy their textbook and use it to do that research? So if the academia cannot produce something that we can use, then what are we saying? Then how will the nation grow? When a lecturer enters a class and tells you that if you like, write everything you know, if you don't sort me, you will fail. Or who is that? You think witchcraft is only the one that flies in the night, Abby? This is somebody you have paid to teach you. He now comes and tells you will fail, even if you do what is right. And we think that man is okay, everything is all right. My dear, when we talk about national development, ASUU needs to sit up, because ASUU is part of the unit of a society. Because when you talk about the family, you talk about the learning system, which is the secular, academia, and the religious. The religious, I don't even want to go there. That one Nakamu case. I don't want to go there so that nobody says I'm countering anybody, or that I'm condemning or attacking somebody. Because if I go there, that one is very ugly. So ASUU needs to sit up, just as every other institution, every other system, every other organization, every individual in Nigeria needs to sit up. Not condemning. You're condemning this person, you're condemning this one, you're condemning this one. You employ your staff in your company and they can't even, oh God. I don't know, you listening to this, have you ever employed, as a Nigerian, have you ever had a company, or maybe even if it's a brick and mortar shop by the roadside, have you ever employed somebody and said, this is your work description, do like this, do like this, do like this, and saw what he did in the next 1, 2, 3 months? So we have a staff force that cannot perform.